Welcome to Inspiring Salon Professionals, the podcast that allows every therapist, nail tech and stylist to level up, build their career and reach for their dreams. Each episode will be looking at a different area of the industry, and along the way I'll be chatting with salon owners, industry leaders and experts who'll be sharing their stories on how they achieved their goals, made their successes, all to inspire you in your business and career. I'm Sue Davies, your host, award-winning salon owner and industry professional. Welcome to Inspiring Salon Professionals. Welcome to this week's episode of Inspiring Salon Professionals. And this week, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Hollie Power from Salonology and from the Source. Hollie's joining me today to talk about the Source, but I'm hoping we might also get a little bit of a hint of other things that Hollie has really great experience in. And I'm really looking forward to having a chat with her because we spent a bit of time together here and there at different shows. And I used to be part of the Gold Club when I had my salon. And so I've been around Hollie's world for quite a long time. So it'd be a great opportunity to have a chat with her and for everyone to find out a little bit more about what the Salon Source is all about. I will see you on the other side. So I'm here with Hollie. So welcome to Hollie Power. For anyone that doesn't know Hollie, would you like to just explain a little bit about who you are and what your background is and how you got to be where you are in the industry?
Well, hi Sue. Firstly, thank you for having me on your podcast. It's lovely to see your lovely face again. Of course, Sue and I have known each other in the industry for many years now. Yeah. So my history is quite interesting. I didn't start in the beauty world. I came through international global property sales. I did recruitment all over the world as well. And I didn't actually dip my toe into this industry until I was 27, when I decided to totally change my career and open a salon, which was a bit of a random out the blue thing to decide to do. But I moved to a new town. I was living in Bournemouth, where I'm still based now. I'd just come back from Melbourne, Australia for 3 years, and I started working in recruitment down in Bournemouth and decided actually I wanted to try a different career, and I moved into the beauty world, where I opened a day spa in the lower floor of a hotel in Bournemouth, which started off very small, just doing some semi-permanent makeup. We did tanning. And then it just grew and grew and grew, and we ended up with nine treatment rooms. We had 2 lounges, full spa facilities, pedicure suite, anti-aging room. We had nail desks. We ended up being quite a big operation, which was super exciting. And whilst running that business, we launched our Salonology brand, which is a salon coaching company that I run with my husband, Ryan. And we've been building that up. We now work with about 450 salon owners, helping them to grow, find more freedom, find more profit in their business. And earlier this year, we launched the Salon Source, which is the new space for salon owners to find brands to align with to help them grow their business further.
Yes.
That's me in a nutshell.
I know, because I think I kind of met you. I think the first time I came across you was I was a bit late to the party, and it was one when you were doing all the Christmas, when you first started doing like the Christmas offer thing you used to do. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
The advent
about
event.
7 years ago, something like that. It's quite a long time ago. And that was the first time I ever came across Hollie Power. And I bought into it, but I was a bit late to the party, and it was nearly Christmas, so I can't. Just always last minute me. And then of course, and you mentioned the Salonology, and obviously I was part of the Salonology. I was saying in the introduction, I was in Gold Club for a while. Then I sold my salon, so it's like and I did FOMO. I still have FOMO. It's like, but but there's no point in me being there, because I don't have a salon that kind of work. I still haven't got a salon. It's about to open, but it's not quite there yet still. So it's been quite a journey for you, isn't it, really? So could we just sort of talk, because when I was saying with Hollie before about the fact that I did this whole series all around careers and stuff, and having Hollie on, who's got this recruitment background and has quite a definite view of how recruitment perhaps could be done in the industry in a better way. So I just thought it'd be nice to have a bit of a chat around how we recruit and what kind of things as a salon owner, what it is that we expect from our teams. And when we have a team that's an employed team, it should, if you've got your team, they should be employed, really. And it is, there's this whole big grey area about employment per se, just because of all the like the HMRC stuff, but also I think just understanding how to advertise and how to recruit and what kind of things you need to do as a salon owner to successfully recruit good professional staff. Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give to salon owners really, and what kind of things do you help them with when you talk about recruitment with them?
When I went for my first ever recruitment interview, which I must have been 21, 22 years old, and I went into the interview, and the lady said to me, tell me about your background. And she asked me a few questions. And she said, you've told me about what you've done before, about, how you think you can match people up in the recruitment world, but you haven't really mentioned your sales experience. And I said, I didn't really think that was that relevant to this industry. And she said, it is so relevant to this industry because recruitment is sales. And it kind of struck me there and then that actually we need to feed our sales skills into our recruitment processes, because we are trying to attract people to work for us and to retain them in our business. And it's so much more nowadays than it used to be. When I had my day spa, we'd just get people coming in with CVs all the time. We'd get people ringing up, do you have any jobs? We'd put a job advert up and we'd get 50 responses. It's not like that in the industry at the moment. Really everything has flipped back to front. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, the pandemic has meant there's been less qualified people appearing. It's meant that a lot of people have gone self-employed and tried to set up on their own, so they're not necessarily working for others. People are less keen on working for others because they've got into the working from home mindset. There's more competition, and it's basically created this, where we are on the cycle of recruitment is a place where there are more jobs than there are candidates. And this means it's a candidates market, which means they've got the pick of the bunch, which means it's difficult to recruit, but it's also difficult to retain because they always feel they've got the power, because they can say, oh, well, if you don't want me or I don't want your terms, I can go and work somewhere else. And that's obviously a negative for us as salons, because we become so dependent on our teams, because we book out a whole column for a therapist, we expect that person to be in. And what I've seen recently has been, oh my God, my therapist has done this and this and this, and it's causing me this stress. But I don't want to get rid of them because I'm worried I can't get somebody else. Absolutely. And I kind of have to just put up with it because of what's happening in the industry at the moment. So what it comes down to ultimately is finding the right people that you really can work with and that are the right mindset. We make mistakes. Sometimes the bad apples fall through the grate. We know that. But once they're with us as well, making the environment right that they want to stay, so the retention of them in a way that doesn't put us in a negative space, that means that they're growing with the business. They're taking up the opportunities we're putting in front of them to everybody's advantage. So that's really what we have to do. And we have to approach that from a sales perspective.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it as well, because I think I can remember years ago putting an advert out for team members for my place, and I picked this up from another coach actually, and it was like, and on the advert being very, very clear about expectations and about, what the rewards were, but it was a very kind of black and white document about, this is what I expect from you and we'll ask you to maintain. But in return, you're going to get all of these things, and there's so many bonuses to kind of work in my salon. But it's just such a difficult thing, isn't it? And trying to get that balance right between being like a kind of dictatorial boss who is there cracking the whip. And I think, in today's world, you can't really be like that, can you, as a salon owner?
You can't. It's so much about environment now and creating the right workspace for people. And if somebody walks into a salon and the staff aren't happy, then that client picks up on it straight away, because it's all about experience. It's one-to-one connection. It's the vibe that you feel when you walk in, and it's one of the rarest industries in that we are all emotionally connected to what we're doing. Every single person who comes in, who works there, who visits. Unlike, you always use the example of a printing company because it is so unemotional. Printing is unemotional, isn't it? So
just a little
if you
bit.
run a printing company, you buy the machine that prints the cheapest and the best and whatever, and you get your prints and you come, and there's literally nothing else to it.
No.
For us, there is so many levels of emotion. We're connected to it, we care, we're physically touching, we're trying to give somebody a result that's going to give them an outcome that they want. And that has to filter through to everybody that's part of that journey when that client walks in. So who we recruit, it's so much more than a bum on a seat. It's somebody who actually follows the ethos of our business model. That's not that easy to find.
No, it isn't. It's very, very challenging. And I know over the years I had my salon, whenever I had employed team members, I had a couple that were really good. And I was sorry that, you know, that they weren't there all the way through. Yeah. But it's a real difficult world to be trying to recruit in at the moment. And I think as well, like that, you know, what you were saying about the self-employed thing, you know, we watched, and I know a lot of us just sat back in complete amazement during the pandemic as like employer after employee just like jacked it in and became self-employed. And I'd be interested to know and see the figures on how much, if that's maintained and stayed the same, or if there are some now that have just gone, actually now a couple of years in, it's actually harder work than I thought it was. And I was kind of thinking that maybe at this tax return, because this would probably be the first tax return that went in January, that a lot of those would be in that kind of, that cohort would be in that tax return, that might make people think, actually, I think maybe being employed is nicer. But it is. And I think as well, you know, we need to kind of up the employment thing massively, because there are so many benefits to being employed, but it is a real thing that I think a lot of the industry is missing, that employment is actually a really good thing. And I think salon owners have seen an opportunity to not have the responsibility of having employees as well, haven't they? And where everyone's willing to be self-employed, we've got this peculiarity that's happened in the industry, that everyone kind of thinks their staff are their staff when they're self-employed, and they're not actually their staff. They're just people that work within their business, on their business. And it's a real different mentality, isn't it? But
and it is, as you said earlier, it's such a grey area from understanding the level of control that you could have over somebody who's self-employed in your business. And we see the communications in our communities, you know, oh my God, I've got this girl, she rents a chair and she was supposed to be at work today and she wasn't, and we've had to deal with the mess. And it's like, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, that person can do what they want to do. And the way I see it is, you either work solo when you work really, really hard to build something solo, or you recruit a team of employed people who all really follow your ethos, and you build on that. And that's what I ended up doing in my business. And I had about 12 staff when I sold the spa in 2020. And I was actually very lucky. I had some incredible girls. That I had 3 key team members that did all at least 8 years or so across different times of when I had the business, that were all management and amazing. And that obviously made a difference to people who ultimately came to work for us anyway, because they maintained that relationship with them really well. But it's interesting when you see people recruiting and how they recruit, because it's if you put an advert out to come to your salon, it's very unlikely you would just put out treatment available, massage, £50, will be nice and relaxing, expect relaxation. You'd put, come to our beautiful salon, experience it, a video of the salon, a video of a massage, making people feel it, maybe with some music, with your logo, with your branding, with some nice words that's going to make somebody think, I want this, I want this. Yeah, and then when they put out the job advert, is like following a template of just,
it's like the
this is what you have to do and this is what you'll get.
Yeah, the postcard that you used to get in the job centre.
That clear, you know, this is what you do and this is what you don't. And through my career in recruitment, which was in London, Melbourne, Australia, and in Bournemouth, one thing was consistent, is that you have to think outside the box if you're looking to recruit people where you're struggling in a market you're struggling to recruit for. And when I started working in the Australian team, I worked for quite a large company, an office of about 30 women, and we just recruited into the sort of secretarial administrative areas. And I sort of said to them, well, how are you going and approaching the companies? And they just say, well, we just ring them up. And I said, you go and visit them? And they said, well, no, only if they invite us to. So I said, can I have a budget? Can I go and buy some muffins and take the muffins out? And they were like, okay, if you really want to. So I bought muffins from the local bakery, and I went round and I'd go into the receptions of all these great big offices in the city, and I'd say, can I speak to your HR person? I bought them some muffins. And of course they're thinking, oh, I'd quite fancy a muffin. So they get the HR person out.
Yeah.
And it was just a really good way to connect with people. And like at the end of the week, when we have all these great candidates come in, if we didn't have the right jobs, I'd make a list of all the candidates and write up a bio about them, and I'd send them out to all of the clients we had on our database. And then they'd be calling on Monday morning going, oh, look, you've got this great lady called Sue. I'm really interested in her. Can I find out a bit more and maybe set up an interview? And it was just about changing the dynamic of how you approached it. And the stock standard adverts do not get results now.
No. And I think as well, I mean, I know I went into West Suffolk College last year to have a chat with the head of faculty, you know, and I was saying to her the difficulty I'd had trying to recruit newly qualified. You know, we were talking about how it is such a missed opportunity. And I think that as an industry, we tend to look down on perhaps the newly qualified therapists, as they haven't got the experience, their skill level isn't high enough, and so on. But, you know, one of the things I was talking to her about was that, you know, if the salon owners actually became invested with the colleges, then, you know, they would be able to, you know, maybe have some of those girls come to them on work experience. They can start the process of recruiting them and seeing if they want to work in their business and if they fit. And I think that, you know, we really need to kind of open our eyes to where the opportunities are and where those people are coming from, and who we can collaborate with to try and ease the recruitment problem that we've got in the industry.
Absolutely. Newly qualified was my jam when I had my spa. Pretty much everybody. And all of those, but actually the 3 girls that I mentioned who all came into management positions, 2 of them came straight to me from no other previous jobs and grew into management roles because they bought into the concept, they bought into, you know, the way we ran the business, and they loved the opportunities that were put out in front of them. I didn't know anything about beauty well because I wasn't qualified. So I had to depend on these team members to help me build the business, and they became long-term invested and they became part of how the business grew. So, you know, your staff and your team can be part of what helps you to achieve your goals in your business, particularly if they benefit from that too. But it's acknowledgement of them, it's rewards and recognition, it's thanking them on a daily basis and appreciating the work they're putting in. It's a hard job, and it's physical, and it's tough, and people don't want to do that so much anymore. So if they're showing up and doing it, you just have to appreciate them. But likewise, keeping them in line as well, and making sure they are fulfilling the role that's promised. But I think what something that I used to say to my team is, I'll always expect 100% from you because I'll always pay you 100%. And I don't want you to only give me 70% because, you know, I couldn't legally only give you 70% of your salary, even if I wanted to. But that would, you know, that's what we're doing. We work and we have an agreement and we give each other 100% of what we've agreed to give. And they went along with that nicely.
Isn't I think as well as if you've got good benefits for them, and you provide you know, a comfortable working space for people, and it's, you know, and it's fun and enjoyable to come to work, and you've got, you know, you've got nice products and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing worse than going to work and just dreading having to work with things that you don't really like. Is you need to look at what lights them up and what drains them. Because it's no point really, you know, as much as we are all multi-skilled and we should all be able to love doing a full leg wax, if you really hate it that much and you really don't like it and you don't feel confident, or, you know, whatever it is, it takes you too long, or whatever the negative is that's in your head about that, you know, if you keep putting that therapist in that position, she's going to hate it and she's going to resent doing it, and that's going to come across to the clients. And so a lot of it is about, you know, if you have got someone that absolutely, you know, if they really, really hate something, don't make them keep doing it, because that isn't going to make them feel that they want to be part of your business, because they're going to feel victimized in some way, I'm sure. and maybe just, you know, working out how you can work to, you know, make them have a place where they actually want to come to work. Because if you look at the diary the day before and all you've got is leg waxes and you hate them, then maybe that's the day you call in sick, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And then that's the day that you feel as an owner, oh, they've let me down, when actually maybe you've not looked at what the issues are there. And I think there is this sort of false opinion that the way we find staff now is just by whacking up the wages. And whilst that is an element, of course, and we've got to pay right for people, I don't actually think that's the main thing. Most people don't go into the beauty industry to become billionaires. They come into it because they love what they do, and they're good at what they do, and they care, and they're passionate about it, and they love working with hands. They're creative, and this is something we need to celebrate in our team. And like you say, putting them through the paces of something they hate every day isn't going to fulfill them. But also, you know, giving them the opportunities, creating that welcoming, fun space, making sure that they get to step away in their lunch break and actually, you know, take half an hour out, whatever it is, buying them nice coffee, buying them some chocolates every week, little things that just change the environment and make it relaxing. If somebody's got a problem, being approachable, making sure they can come to you and have a conversation with you, and making that an open space for everybody. I mean, you know, my business was far from perfect. There would have been lots of things, I'm sure, that some people would have said, oh, you could have done that better, you could have done that better. But it worked really, really well for many years, and it was very successful, and it had a really strong team. And one of our policies was, I won't, no being about the clients. I won't say the full word on your podcast, Sue, but I didn't like, but when I first opened my spa, my biggest fear from my previous experience of going into salons and spas, which wasn't a lot because I wasn't a salon and spa kind of person. I had no experience in the industry at all. It was mad that I did this in the first place. Now. I know. And I dreaded going into salons because I was worried people were going to talk about, you know, if you have a spray tan, you know, they talk about your body, or if you had your makeup off, I had bad acne in my 20s. So, oh, you know, look at her acne or whatever. These were fears that I built up in my head. So I really wanted to eliminate that. So we had a really clear thing. You do not discuss the clients. I don't care what you do. You do not discuss the clients, and you never ever make them feel uncomfortable. And this was such a strong part of the ethic of our brand, but it also rolled out into the following team members as well, because there's nothing worse than working with somebody walking in the staff room and they stop talking because they're talking about you. You know, those sorts of things just weren't allowed to happen. But with that, you know, you got freedom to move, to grow. If there was a treatment somebody wanted to do, we'd make it happen if we could. Somebody said, you know, I feel like I don't like the way the stock's rotated. Can I start a new system? Yeah, of course you can. You know, we got them all involved in the growth of the business. They all became part
and allowing
of it. Yeah, absolutely. And it built a strong business, and that was all about the retention. You know, we do things like there was a weekend where we have the air show in Bournemouth, which is massive, and our hotel used to accommodate all the pilots, which I loved for 4 days every year. It wasn't great for business because they're not really into coming to the spa, and because the whole of Bournemouth was shut down, nobody was coming in for treatments or spa days or anything. So I sent the girls to Ibiza for 4 days, and I put them up in an all-inclusive. They're only in their early 20s. They didn't need anything super posh, but it meant that I could do some work in the spa, get some painting done. They went and had a great few days and thought I was the best boss in the world. But it kind of solved the problem at the same time.
Really, I think both what we're trying to say is just be nice to them, isn't it, really? And make them feel rewarded, make them feel welcome. And that in being an employer, it does have its downsides. There's no getting away from it. It is a challenging path, but I think it's just challenging in a different way from having a team of people that rent space from you, because that comes with another whole set of problems. And I really do feel that as an industry, we need to kind of take back control of our salons and of our workspaces, and make it okay for everyone to feel comfortable to be employed again.
Absolutely. And, you know, there are so many advantages that come as an owner, as having an employee team as well. The level of control that you can have, and the way you can, you know, unify how they dress, you know, the treatments that they're doing, or the delivery of everything.
Yeah.
But also from an owner's perspective, the delegation that you can put in place by
Yeah.
having a team, which is just very empowering for a business owner once you get your head around it. I know it's difficult for a lot of salon owners because they're so emotionally connected to their business, but if you've got a strong team behind you, you can look at all those tasks that you shouldn't be doing, or don't really do very well, or don't like doing,
Yeah.
and your team can absorb them for you, and
Absolutely.
actually frees you up to work on the growth of the business, work on yourself, have more time for you, have more balance and freedom in life,
Yeah.
because that's ultimately what the goal is here. It's not just work all day, every day.
No, absolutely not. And I think as well, and it kind of leading on from that is like one of the things that happens when you have like self-employed people or teams or whatever you want to call it within a salon environment, is that they're at liberty to bring in whatever they want, and because it is their own business. And I think just segueing nicely into this, that when you are the salon owner, it is down to you who works there, when they work, and it is that brand, the brands that they use, and the equipment that you have, and how that whole management level of everything that is makes your brand what it is. When you've got self-employed teams, you can't have that. It's very difficult to have a brand, because there's all these little spikes that keep coming out, or there should be spikes that are coming out. If there's no spikes coming out, then you've got hidden employment going on there. But you need to have that whole brand awareness of your brand, and then what brands operate within your business. And so that kind of like, just to sort of like get back to what we are supposed to be talking about today as well, is like the Salon Source, and how, you know, as a salon owner, how you promote yourself to those prospective employees. You know, if you're using a not great brand, then you might find it hard to recruit high quality therapists, because they're used to using quality brands. And what Salon Source is about bringing quality brands to the awareness of salon owners.
Absolutely, yeah. So we built the Salon Source because it was actually inspired by going to a large beauty show last year that I was talking at, and the shows are amazing. They're brilliant. They're full of high energy, and they're buzzy and everything. And everybody walks away and they're super excited. But one of our clients said, I went going to buy a machine, and I came back more confused than when I went, because everybody told me something different. And it kind of inspired this idea of, why don't we sort of break down the different technologies, the different product types, to help everybody to understand better. You know, mine and Ryan's job is to find the problems in the industry and solve them, because that's kind of what we do. So so this was the initial idea, and then it's like, then we can showcase different brands that can supply those opportunities to people, and that's sort of, it's taken time to grow, and it's grown into what is now the Salon Source. salonsource.co.uk if you want to look it up. And what you'll find on there is different areas of the industry, subcategories of industry, where you can go and view all the different brands, but also lots of information around finding those right brands, because alignment is so massively important. And there's big brands and there's small brands, and we can sometimes think, oh, we have to go and use this huge big spa company because everybody else uses them, but they might not be the right for you. And much the same as your staff, and much the same as your clients, you need to align with everybody that's sitting in your business, and that brand should be there to support you. They should be there to help you reach your goals. They should be there to give you the right treatment models and the rituals that are going to give your clients results, the education and the training that you need, the marketing support, the customer service. That's what we're ultimately looking for when we're looking for brands now. And the pandemic showed quite a stark comparison of companies that were there for their salons and companies that weren't there for their salons. And we saw so many people who said, oh, their phones have been cut off. I've got thousands of pounds of stock left on my shelves, and they're not even picking up my phone. I don't know what to do. Ryan and I had communication with a lot of brands who, some were really keen to get us involved in what they did to help them grow and help them educate industry and keep the industry moving forward and keep them inspired, which we did do. And some brands which just didn't want to invest back into their own salons. And it was quite shocking to see. And we decided to start this because it's a big job when you want a new brand, if you want to find the right brand.
Huge.
It takes time, it's overwhelming, it's confusing. So we've done that first level of research for them, so they can look at that and then they can start to grow, make decisions, work out from there. It turns out that only 14% of the salon owners that we asked in a poll that we run actually buy at a show. Most of them will buy after the show.
I think a lot of it at the show,
before the show.
You're window shopping, isn't it, the show? And either that or you've done your research first and you're going to buy at the show because they've got something that's going to grab your attention. They've got a call to action at the show. But I think so. I've been looking through Salon Source last couple of days, and as it's grown massively since you launched it, which is really good news. But I really, really love the way that you break down. It's like a glossary. It's not just a directory, it's a glossary of information. And I really love it. It's something that we're doing on my platform as well, is that trying to kind of break down, what different nail services there are, what different beauty services there are, what different aesthetic services, machines and how they work and what those different things do. And so there really isn't a stone left unturned. And I think that that's really quite refreshing, because there is all of that information. And if you're a salon owner that maybe comes from a background like yourself, where you weren't salon trained and you weren't, you didn't have those professional qualifications when you started. Yeah, but that whole thing of all those different bits of information, just having all of that there is so helpful, because that is generally your first line of research, isn't it? And so you've got all of that. If you don't know what those treatments are and how they work, there's information pages there that tell you how the different treatments work. But not only that, then when you do get into the directory of the different brands, you've got all of their like opening order costs and whether they will give you like a territory and all that kind of, and those things are really important, because I know with me, and it's funny actually, just as an example, where I've moved to, where I used to have my salon down in Kent, I was the only salon that had the brand I had within probably 20 miles. And it was a brand called Comfort Zone. I absolutely love them. But then, they're not high street brand. They really aren't. But up here, within 5 miles in each direction of my house, there's salons with Comfort Zone. And I don't know, there's benefits and there's negatives to being in the same brand as other people around you that are in the same kind of level of salon or the same level of standards that you offer. And it really gave me food for thought. But that whole thing about the territories is so important, because you don't necessarily want to be the same brand as your neighbour or the one in the next village or the one in the next town, because you want to give something that's different, that makes you have your USP.
Absolutely. There is a reason that McDonald's have a territory postcode and a limited amount of space between each of their premises. And it's because you want people to have something close enough to them, but not that they've got 5 or 6 to choose from. So you actually get that whole radius of potential business coming to you. But I think what we can do as salon owners as well is the same with our pricing, the same with everything, is we look at what everyone else is doing. And brands that might suit the salon down the road or the spa across the road aren't necessarily the brands that would be right for you. And there are so many brands. Apparently there's over 1,800 skincare companies available at the moment. I've only got that figure off somebody from a stand. I don't know if that's true, but that is a huge number of brands. There is so many, and there's more constantly coming out, and some are growing and some are changing and some are buying some out, and it is massively overwhelming. And you've got to find the brand that delivers the results that you want. You've got to have the therapists that want to work with that brand and deliver those results. You need the good training from that brand. You need that support. I've just started doing a LinkedIn newsletter actually, and what I talked about the other day is how brands can help with recruitment, because if you've got an avid group of fans because you're a huge skincare company and one of your accounts is struggling to recruit, what a great platform to help them find new staff, because you might have fans of that brand who would love to work in a salon who stock that brand. And there's got to be more cohesion in the industry as well now from these companies to support the salons, because they will remain to be one of the things that can't be replaced by AI right now is
Yeah.
salons.
Yeah.
I don't want a robot to give me a massage, no matter how good it
Goodness
is,
me.
because I
No.
want human connection. And, we all need to remember that. We all need to focus on keeping that
Yeah.
personal connection in salons, using products that get people results, that keep people coming back, that keep our clients happy, that do what that we say we're going to do, and having a team that buys into the concept of what
Yeah.
we want to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, and if you, like you saying about the like the skincare house, that that if they have got access to people that are looking to move jobs or whatever, that whole thing of if you can find somebody that already uses your system, I mean, they hit the ground running as soon as they arrive, don't they?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know
They're
with some of the
gorgeous.
big skincare brands, one of my friends was a supervisor in a local spa that was just opening. And I mean, their level of training, I mean, obviously there's a huge product range, and it does take a long time to learn those products and to learn how to use them and the different techniques and so on that they all use. And her and her team, I think they had something like 2 weeks of training to get on top of this brand.
Yeah.
And it's really, quite staggering the way some of the skincare houses work in that way. And if you are with one of those brands, to have somebody come that already has done that training has got to be such a bonus.
Oh, gold dust. I can remember the CVs, if we got one through and they said they were trained in the product brand we use, it was like,
Yay!
because quite a few of the other spas in the area also used it. It was then like tug of war over this poor therapist, which spa she was going to end up in.
Yeah.
And of course, the error that I made once was sending a girl off for training, all expenses paid, accommodation, everything, all of her, salary while she was there, and then she quit the day after, and I didn't have anything in the contract to cover me, which was rookie error, and I learned from that mistake and quickly changed the contracts. But there is going to be the ups and downs of having an employed team always, because you become so dependent on them. But I really believe that there is, I see some of my clients, and they put job adverts out and they get a ridiculous number of responses, because the way they run their business, it's nothing to do with me, it's to do with the way they've built their business, it's to do with the fact they've created a happy, kind, friendly, welcoming environment with happy clients that get results, that feel looked after, the team feel looked after, people want to work there.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we're not in a place where we can just stick a job advert out and people will apply. We're in a place where people have got to want to work for you.
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple. Some people just assume, well, staff will want to work for them. Well, why? Why do they want to work for you? What are you giving them? What opportunities are there? What is the environment? It's not just about money. It's about wanting to spend 40 hours of your week somewhere, and you've got to create that environment for people.
And it isn't who else is in the team, and it's who else is in the team, what's expected of me over and above those 40 hours, and silly things as well, like I mean, I'm very, very aware and it isn't just in our industry, because my friend who works in childcare has this. And that expectation perhaps from some salon owners to, the hours of work, they'll start appointments at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they'll give their team member a contract from 9 till 5, say, but they expect them to be in at 8:30 to set up. And it's like, no, I'm sorry. If you expect them in for that half an hour, you need to pay them. And I always, whenever I had employed staff, I always paid them for, I think I used to give them 15 minutes to come in, get their bags put down, grab a cup of tea and get their rooms ready. And because you've got to allow for that, and try and to give them a little bit of space at the end of the day so they've got time to clear. But I think it's silly things like that cost us as employers and make people not want to work in a salon, because you're asking them to work to work and not be paid. And if they're going to have that level of being paid, they can go and be self-employed and not have to worry, because no one's going to pay them then to do it either. But it's there's just so much, isn't there, that is a problem with our industry at the moment. But hopefully, though, that whole thing around what the service that Salon Source can provide, and getting people to look at how they approach their brand research and how they approach when they're going to change a brand, because I think it's such an important thing, isn't it? And I know whenever I've rebranded within the salon, it takes months and months, and I think what Salon Source does is it answers all of those things. I used to sit with like spreadsheets of what they all offered and stuff, and Salon Source does that for you.
It's done. Yeah. What is it? We asked about 223 salon owners. We asked more than that. Then we got about 223 responses to our survey, which we did before we started the Salon Source, and we found out that 70.8% of them really struggled to find a new brand because it's just too overwhelming. That 59.6% of them were actively looking for a new brand. Out of those, and then the top 5 things that they wanted to know, they struggled to find out, was the startup cost, which of course is really important for some people.
Massively.
You don't want to have a meeting and find out it's 20 grand and your budget's 1,500. The marketing support was really important, how they help them to grow the business, the training and how that works, things like, well, I've got a team trained and then I recruit somebody new, what happens? Where is the training included? What does it cost me? Where do they have to come? Do you come to me? Is it online? How does this all work? Because this impacts, somebody who's new and hasn't generated you any money, and you've got to go and pay for them and invest in them before you even know them. That's quite a big thing. So the training, the cost of orders each month was a big thing. Because I've just got to get a couple of bits, and they're saying, well, you've got a minimum £500 a month.
And I'm sure, as well as I am, very aware that there's a lot of, especially the larger skincare brands, that just shut your accounts down when you don't meet their criteria. And all of a sudden,
and they do,
you might have £10,000 worth of stock on your shelves, but you haven't sold £2,000 worth that month. So all of a sudden, as it builds up, and often it's an accumulated amount before they shut you down, but they will close you down, and then you're left with stock.
And you've got it, and it's not just your stock, it's your trained therapist, but also it's what's on your price lists, it's what's on your website, and that all has to be changed with a
and maybe even on your uniforms,
brand as well.
A lot of the big brands, they wear the uniforms of the brands, don't they?
And it happened to me. I went from one brand to another brand because the experience of the first brand was so shocking, and with the second big brand, a lot of great things until the last rep that I had, and the rep alone, just because of the way she was, I would have walked away from them as a company, but we sold the spa before I needed to do that. But I would have gone to another brand because I thought, hang on, I'm giving you £30,000-40,000 a year, and this is what I'm getting back, and it was just terrible, really. And there's so many smaller brands that have actually got incredible products, incredible customer service, and they are so keen to work with salons out there. The good thing about the Salon Source, it gives them that even platform to get in front of people and show what they do without it having to be the difference between investing 50 grand on a huge stand at an event.
And I think as well, one of the nice things is that I think, I know from experience of when I've been trying to rebrand and been looking around the different companies, and you go on the website and you've got to make a phone call that you may not have time to make, or you've got to have the rep come in. And like, let's face it, I'm not being funny, BDMs do an amazing job, but you may not want to BDM in. If you're a busy salon, you might have to forward plan that a month away, but you want an answer now. And I think having the answers to some of those questions that you were just saying are the things that, it's that instant. They don't share that information easily, usually. You've normally got to make a very valid connection with them. And I think that having that opportunity to just see it all in black and white. And I think that maybe brands, whether they join Salon Source or not, need to take a lesson out of this book, because that openness and that transparency would probably go a long way with salon owners, because we all want to know those questions. We all want to know those answers.
Absolutely. And do you know how I felt as a salon owner? Sometimes I felt like I was jumping through hoops just to find out how much it was going to cost me. I like to know where I stand ahead of something. There were brands that I was interested in, and as you say, you know, the half a day of them coming down, it's got to fit into both of your diaries before you've even found out if you want to make the financial investment, because you don't know what it is. And I almost cancelled so many brands because of the way they were. You know, they were sort of almost like, well, who are you? And it's like, well, I've got 9 treatment room spa. It's quite substantial. We're in a hotel. Right. Well, you know, and they sort of quizzing you a little bit, and you think, hang on a minute, I'm the customer here, and I'm looking at potentially investing tens of thousands of pounds with you. And I remember feeling a bit sort of put out by some companies, whereas others were like, oh, we'd love to chat to you, and we'd love to. And that first experience of people is really, really important. And the people, it's funny, the people that have really responded well to the source, as in the brands that have responded well, or the partners, as we like to call them, are the people who want to be open, and they want to talk about what it costs, and they want to find those good connective leads. Because at the same time, if you send a rep out to somebody who's not qualified because they can't afford what you're offering, it's a waste of time for everybody.
Absolutely.
So you know, they know now if somebody calls them from the source, or they click through on their links and they've watched this YouTube videos on there's all the information you could need. They make a connection, they've already looked and gone, this could be right for me. I like what they do. I like their ethos. I like what it costs is doable for me. Let's make a connection. And they're good, valuable, potential connections.
And it's a little bit, to a degree, it's a little bit like, you know, when you go out looking for a new credit card, isn't it? You want to kind of you want to know if you're pre-qualified.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways. It's a two-way street, because you need to know, that you want to invest in that brand and you can afford to invest in that brand, but they also need to know that you've got all that information and you're making the choice because you know you already fit what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
And so you're kind of pre-qualifying both ends of the market, which is really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about, bringing the brands together.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do through my LinkedIn newsletter at the moment as well is to actually speak a little bit out for the industry to the brands in the world, to say, this is what they're struggling with right now, and this is how you can help them. And actually, I think that a lot of brands come from people who haven't been in the industry, and they just need a little bit of an insight just to help them make the connections. They might be an incredible engineer who's built the most wonderful machine that does the most incredible things, but they've got no idea how to talk to a salon owner.
No, and they don't, and they're not. And I think because that a lot of the brands, and I think sometimes it doesn't matter whether it's in nails or in waxing or in skincare or in machines or whatever area it is of the industry, if you don't come from our world and you are entering into it, you don't know that empathetic you know, caring side of what we do, and that touchy-feely stuff and all of the woo-woo and all of the rest of it, that has to fit for so many people. That has to fit with the brand that they work with. And when you're a very black and white engineer trying to sort of fit with people that sit, you know, playing well, not playing with crystals, that's a really bad word, because I play with crystals, but that whole you know what I mean. And it's that whole thing, isn't it, that we're just sort of like quite ethereal, really, aren't we, in comparison to them? And it's trying to kind of get that blend. For them to understand that
middle. Exactly. And you know, you walk around the shows, and I've seen it where, you know, you almost feel like you're being like attacked. You know, they're like, well, you know, tell me, and you're like, whoa, you know. And this is not really the way to deal with the average salon owner. You know, salon owners want to make an emotional connection, and they're like, if you want me to put that machine on my client's face, I need to know that it's the right machine for me. It's going to do the results. I don't care if you tell me it's going to make me 350,000 million pounds a year.
Yeah, if I do 10 services a day at so many pounds a day.
Do the results. Which is, you know, which is a great pull for somebody who's very money orientated, which a lot of our industry isn't. Somebody who goes in purely on the business perspective, which initially I was, that might have appealed to me, but I wasn't the average salon owner. And the average salon owner is interested in lots of different things. Yes, finances are important, but also, you know, they don't want to hurt anyone. They don't want to cause any complications. They need to know about the contraindications of stuff. They want to know, you know, how you're going to train me, not just that I can if I book 20 clients a week, you know, for that's overwhelming for salon owners. They want to hear, you know, this is why we're really good in the industry. We support you, we help you, we listen to you, we want to help you grow. We have financial packages in place that are going to help you, you know, step into it. This is how we do our training. This is the support that we're going to give you. This is the results you can get from your clients. And this is why our machine is safe, or this is why our products are safe. That's what a salon owner wants to hear. And hopefully through the Salon Source, I'm kind of helping salon owners find the right people, but helping to re-educate some brands, if they choose to be, to make those stronger connections, because there's some incredible stuff out there that could get into the hands of wonderful salon owners and do wonderful things. But, you know, maybe there just needs to be a Hollie in the middle just to smooth that ride out a little bit. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Mediation counsellor.
Yes, a brand mediator. Brand balance, brand ambassador. I don't know, something like that.
The brand salon owner facilitator.
Yes, I'll come up with a name in a wonderful hotel in Costa Rica somewhere at some point, I'm sure. So I'll put it through the business.
I think it's about being that middleman, isn't it? And about having that connection to both worlds. Exactly. And much like, you know, with what I'm doing with Nabuno, is like, you know, we're creating a place where we're going to connect the education providers with the learners, and it's you know, sometimes if you've got an experience of both worlds, then it is good to sit in that middle place and just go, actually, like, direct everybody here, direct everybody from there, and bring them together. And that's what it's about, isn't it? And I think, you know, one of the things that I love about this industry is that although sometimes it can be quite divided, that there are huge numbers of us that want to collaborate and that want to work together, and that we do want the best for the industry. And I think things like the Salon Source is one of those things, and it's there to kind of help everybody connect and grow and just make better businesses and better salons and better therapists and better product companies, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. And it's written from the perspective, I guess, if you were to go and you were to Google a certain technology, the chances are you're going to fall upon a company that sells that technology. So they're going to pitch the information they give you specifically back to themselves, because of course they're going to. That's, you know, basic sales, isn't it? But what we're trying to do is keep it unbiased, the facts and the figures, so people can learn those facts and figures, work out what they need, and then they can look for the company that suits them. And that's kind of the goal. So we'll just continue to grow with lots more of value, lots more information, more brands as we bring more on board. Eventually we'll be doing for runs and what's new coming up in industry as well. So once a month we'll do you know, like what you can get your teeth into right now, what's going on. And it will hopefully we'll move into different parts of the industry. We're going to do a wellness and spa edition next, I think, is our next goal. So it's going to be everything from uniforms, beds, furniture, towels, products, you know, accessories around the industry, scents, candles, all that kind of stuff, because that's really where my world is.
There's so much, isn't there? You know, just like all the different retail opportunities. I know one of the things when I was in Gold Club, space masks, and I know that they're on the directory, but you know, space masks are and what's I've just got one, I can't remember what it's called, Spongel. And I know at Christmas, if it was like the talk like through October and November, the talk of Gold Club was like Spongels and space masks. Everyone's like, yeah, we need those. But they are amazing retail items, and you know, and just knowing where to go and get some of that retail stuff, and a lot of that is on the Salon Source, isn't it? So that you can find where to get all of those great things that you can offer your clients to get retail, that just helps put all that money back in your pocket.
Absolutely. I mean, I had somebody, a brand, who I sent some letters out to some different brands recently, and one guy came back to me and said, I've been to look at your Salon Source website and I don't like it. And I said, oh, okay. And he said it should be A to Z. And I thought, well, he said, because how will they find the companies they're looking for? And I thought, well, the whole point of it is they don't know the companies that they're looking for. They already know they want to find you. They're going to Google you. They're not going to go to the source first. The whole point of it is for you to peruse, a bit like when you go to a show. You wander, you see who's around, don't you? It's not listed alphabetically when you walk into a show.
No, it's not the other pages.
It's for you to wander and see what takes your attention and discover new brands. And that's really what we wanted to create, was a platform for everyone, for the little guys and the big guys, all saying this is what we do in a really even space. And
even at the
that
shows,
gives,
though,
you know, so that,
sorry, I was just going to say, even at the shows though, you know that row A is all the big guys. And by the time you get to row R, you know, you're in the small brands, and anybody that's in the size, you know, in the row R backwards, you know, they've probably got a 2x2 stand that's, you know, cost them a fraction of what the big guys have paid like tens of thousands for at the front. And it is, and it takes that, it evens everything out, doesn't it?
And that's what we wanted to do, because sometimes the big brands are right for you, but sometimes they're not. And you know, I like helping the little guys, you know, I like helping the ones who were fledgling businesses, who were trying to grow, and giving them a platform. And they're the people that come back to me and go, oh my God, I've had some leads come through, I've got some new sign-ups, it's amazing, thank you so much. You know, it's like, I love it, I love the vibe, I love what it's all about. And that makes me super happy, because, you know, I've had numbers of little fledgling businesses, and sometimes they've flown and sometimes they haven't. And to have somebody who just sits there and says, I can give you a little helping hand here, or look, just jump on board and try it for a bit on me and see how you get on. Giving them a chance to put that out there, that's really, really effective, I think, for people. So we're going to keep growing it, and hopefully. Sorry,
so if there's any brands, obviously any salon owners and therapists and professionals that want to go and find stuff can just go straight to the website. So how do brands, if they want to work with you, how do they get in touch? Are there links on the website?
There are links on the website. They could just go to our Become a Partner page. They can fill their details out, they'll get sent a brochure, and it will let us know that you've got in touch, and you'll be contacted by our partnership manager, Claire. Of course, you can reach out to me, Hollie Power. I'll be on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. You can email me at hollie@salonology.uk. Hollie's with an IE. And there's plenty of team members that you can reach out to if you want as well. So always happy to have a chat, jump on a Zoom and chat everything through. But yeah, we just want to keep building it and growing it, and making it a great space for salon owners, where it's always accessible, always free for them, so they can come and find the right brands.
Brilliant. So what we'll do is, if I'll get all of the links and everything from you, and we can put those on the show notes, and if there's anything else that you want to add to that, we can do so. Is there anything else you want to add before we end?
No, just thank you so much for having me, Sue. It's been lovely to see you and have a chance to talk all about what I've been up to, and also to retouch on my recruitment world. I actually built a course called Recruit and Retain last year, which was all about recruiting into the salon world, and it's just such an important element for salon owners to consider at the moment. So if you are looking to recruit at the moment, I'd say my top tip is just to do it as a sales program. Market yourself, write down everything that's wonderful about working with you. Talk about why your salon's unique and special, and the opportunities. That's what people are really keen on hearing right now. And if you want to attract new staff, you've got to sparkle really bright right now. So think of everything that makes you sparkle, and don't be afraid to shout it from the rooftops.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Hollie. There is an awful lot in there to unpack, and do go and check out Salonology, and go and check out Salon Source. And yeah, like Hollie and Ryan are kind of everywhere, all over Facebook, a bit all over Instagram, now on LinkedIn too. They're like, they're everywhere.
How do we ever sleep? I don't know.
I know.
Yes.
Anyway, right. Thank you so much, Hollie.
Well, thank you, Sue. It's been awesome.
Yeah. And I will, put everything on the show notes. And thank you very much, Hollie. Bye, everybody. So thanks so much to Hollie for coming on and sharing some of her expertise all around recruitment. I hope that there was some useful information in there for any salon owners or business owners that are looking to take on employed staff, and how you can maybe do that, and a few different bits and pieces around maybe how you can find those staff, and about how you can try and attract them. And remember what Hollie was saying, and I think it's quite right, that you really, really do need to be selling what it is you're offering. So think about, if you were trying to encourage clients to come to you, that's how you need to consider how you're going to get staff to come to you as well. And also the Salon Source, it really is an interesting website. And like Hollie says, it's all done like little magazines, and it's just nice to have a little flick through the magazine and see who's in there. And you never know, even if you weren't thinking of rebranding, maybe you might just find something in there that floats your boat, or just add a second line to your skincare, or a second line to your nail services or your waxing services. So go have a look on Salon Source, and all of the information will be on the show notes, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Inspiring Salon Professionals. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with fellow industry professionals that you think may enjoy the show. Links and further information can be found on the show notes or on my website, www.suedavies.org. Here you can also find some downloadable free guides that you may find of use. You can also hear from me and join the Inspiring Salon Professionals community on my Facebook group. Thanks again, and see you next time. Bye for now.